Welcome to the Learning Pod with Joanna Gomez at jpgomezblog.com. Welcome to our exclusive interview with a remarkable leader in the world of global marketing, Yaremi Alicea Morales, as the Senior Director of Global Marketing at Lilly and Company and a key figure on the Board of Trustees at Indiana Wesleyan University. Yaremi's journey is nothing short of inspiring. With over 20 years of experience, she's been at the forefront of driving impactful strategies in the pharmaceutical marketplace across diverse international landscape. Today, we have the honor to uncovering the insights and philosophies behind Yaremi's impactful global marketing career. Welcome, Ms. Yaremi Alicea Morales, to the Learning Pod with Joanna Gomez. It is a pleasure to have you in our episode today. So how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for the invitation, Joanna. I'm so excited to be with you. You look beautiful, wonderful.
You look beautiful too, and I'm excited to have you here today. So thank you for taking out of your time. I know you have a busy time, so thank you for taking out of your time to be with us today. And I just wanted to start asking you about if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, your educational background, and your trajectory as a marketer.
Sure thing. Well, let's answer the educational background. Interesting enough, I completed back in 1999 a bachelor degree or an undergraduate, how people said in the US, in the University of Puerto Rico. I did it in marketing, and then I took a different route. I completed a master degree in theological studies, and while I was doing my master, I was working in the industry. Back in 2002, Lilly recruited me, and I had in the back of my mind, like the idea of completing another master, a master in business administration. And it's not until 2 years ago that Lilly actually reached out to me and offered me a sponsorship. That's in terms of the educational background. And in terms of the career background, as I mentioned, I started with Lilly. I started as a sales rep. Shortly, I moved to another department related with sales, which is the sales in a major scale with the insurance company, then did a role as a district sales manager. And in 2014, I landed in marketing. Actually, when I got my first position in marketing, it was in the affiliate, and it was with the idea of completing my own development in terms of like having the opportunity to do different roles just to get in that breadth that is important when you continue growing and you are leading teams. And I was kind of sure that it gonna be a 2 years assignment and then I will get back to sales. But in a month, I just realized that I really love marketing. And then I just started to talk with the organization and say, I think I want to change themes in my career and I want to be a marketer. And a year after that conversation, the organization offered me the opportunity to move to Indiana, which they have the headquarters. And that was a very interesting journey because I was in an affiliate as a marketer. I'm sure we are going to talk a little bit more about it. But when you are in an affiliate as a marketer, you are in the execution mode. Usually you get a marketing strategy and you oversee that execution, you oversee what are the localizations you need to make according to your market, but then you work very close with the general manager, with the sales team, because you want to achieve revenue goals. Then when I moved to the US, and I know like you're interested in talking about omnichannel, back in 2015, actually beginning of 2016 is when our organization was starting to learn about omnichannel, and who will tell that, oh my goodness, that have evolved so fast. And I think that's the way that marketing will continue working nowadays. So they were basically testing what omnichannel means. in a pharma industry, and I was working in a special project with an old brand that they were just literally understanding, like, what if we put it in different channels. So it was a project, and then it was in the US affiliate, which was the biggest affiliate we had. But then, because it's the biggest one, you had like a project assigned for you, and I was in charge of 4 brands in Puerto Rico and doing basically every type of marketing, HCP, DTC, etc.
So coming out of that brand management, and you mentioned omnichannel, as a senior director in your position now, how is your approach to brand management, especially in the pharma industry that I know kind of is different a little bit from other marketing areas in other industries? How that come into play, and how you put the team together to work on those brand management strategies that you need to create?
Yeah, it's a great question and a good segue, because if I continue the story I was sharing, like when I realized in the affiliate marketing it was so specific, that was something that I needed to explore. And then through that informational interviews, if you will, inside the organization, I realized that we had this global marketing, as we call, and it's very related to what you're asking, like what are the brand strategies. So I just learned that is in global marketing, when you have the opportunity actually to come from the white space, from a blank page,
yeah, like a blank canvas.
Exactly, a blank canvas to build a brand. And that's actually the work that I'm doing today. I moved to global marketing in 2017, and I really made that my home. And it's here where you, like, for example, in pharma, and it's similar, the marketing, right? Because the first thing you need to have is a target market. We go to school and we hear about target market, but depending on your area, in our area, so we talk about, like, who is the patient we are serving, right? So we want to learn about that customer. We want to learn about, like, what is the need they have. So that's part of, like, the key learnings and insights, which is one of the words we use all the time in marketing, right? We learned, and in the other hand, so you need to learn about your product. You need to learn what are the characteristics, and more importantly, so what is different with your product? Because if you have, let's say, a wallet, right? It's a small bag that women uses. So you're coming to the market with a wallet, but how many wallets, right, do you have? And who is your target market? What is the type of woman that you want to serve? But then what your wallet specifically have that can offer to be a different product. In marketing, I'm pretty sure through your program, because I know you are completing your
yeah, but I'm completing my program as well, and we're almost to close to be graduating almost at the same time.
Yes. So I know that, like, brands solve or serve, right? They have solve a problem or serve a consumer.
Yeah, a need. The need of the consumer, find or solve a problem.
Definitely. But the other way that we refer to the brand is the job that the brand needs to do, or job to be done, right? And when we're talking about brands and when we're building brand strategy, right, we need to define and be clear what is the job that the brand needs to do. And usually we talk in 3 main terms. We talk about, like, the functional, right? And if we continue with the example of the wallet, well, a wallet is a small bag that you want to put your money, your credit cards, and have inside a bigger bag. But then what is the emotional component to that?
I'm gonna ask you about that emotional component.
And what is the social job that wallet is making, right? And an emotional could be, well, it's a good place to put even some pictures, or it represents, right, like the money I have, of the beauty it is on it. It represents like I'm an organized person, right? Whatever emotions that wallet have and you learn about your customer also will solve it. And socially, let's say that your target market is professional women. So maybe your wallet is super expensive, and it's well done, and you go to Italy and work in a fine leather. So there is a social component, because maybe I'm just literally creating this example just in this conversation. So for that professional woman, you have that wallet, and when she open her bigger bag and use the wallet, there is a social component when she's paying, when she's with friends, just saying, I've been able to be successful, I can afford a wallet like this. So, and again, I'm just creating this example. I don't even put it in paper. But this is what we do, right? We learn about customers, we understand and learn about products, and then it's basically making the perfect match and understanding what is the way that I need to communicate with my consumer.
And coming from that idea that you mentioned, the insights, what considerations are crucial in that brand development that you mentioned, and how marketers today can ensure a cohesive message, brand or brand message across different markets? You mentioned different markets. We're talking about channels, but how do you introduce those products, and how you develop the brand that is going to not only be in the US, since you're in the global marketing? How do you penetrate other markets that are not in the US? And there are other considerations that you may have to take into play when it comes to your customer, who is the end user, and how the channels are going to come into part to deliver that final product and that does the job for that specific audience.
Yeah, that is a huge question. I think like we need to divide it in different pillars, if we will. The first thing, and I will use the brand development wording you're using, because for me, brand development, let's talk about your brand, right? Joanna, you are your brand, and you have your logo, you have your background, right? And when we are talking about not about your name and your brand, so that is what we call the brand development. And we basically follow a process that will end up with the famous brand book, right? And there is some components inside that are very critical to what you asked regarding like around the world. And I will chat a little bit more about that. So first thing, then you are coming to the market, you have a brand, you need to follow like the trademark process, right? Like you need to work with legal, you need to check what is in the marketplace. Usually you even need to do a market research about like what could be a trade name for the product I have.
That's the main key, the marketing research.
So depending in your industry, you will need to follow more steps to get approval for regulatory agencies, or is as simple as just checking in the trademark legal books in the country. So, okay, I can use this brand, and then you have your trade name. And then you need to, I think the first step you need to do is to check what is out there in the marketplace. You need to do an audit of your competitors, because it's important to understand people that are offering the same service or products that are out there. Like, what is the competitor? What are the colors they are using? And that's the first step. After you understand colors, typography, right, and how do they look, then you need to get back and work with your designer and understand, okay, what is the I'll say like the options you have in color, because again, human beings, we react differently. Correct. And we pay attention to different colors. So you need to usually
it has to appeal to your customer. It has to appeal to the end user. Okay.
Functionally,
Functionally,
and the part
emotionally,
of like emotionally and socially, but I'm just talking more functionally, right? Like you work with your agency, at least that's the way. We do marketing, and then you have the subject matter experts in graphics, etc. So once you get that, you need to work with people. I always say you don't need to be a marketer in terms of like getting a degree, with coming with a great marketing idea. And I think that's the beauty of the job we do. So you bring people together. It could be your organization, or even if this is a family brand, so you can bring your family. If this is a church type of project, so you bring people that are in the core team. And then you run that workshop talking about how are we envisioning our brand in 10 years? How do we want this brand, or people talking about this brand, right? What do we want they to say? And then you start talking about it, and you start using different methodologies to put in words the personality of the brand. As we have personalities, so we
want to have their own personality.
We want to come with 2-3 descriptors, even 4 descriptors. This is the personality of my brand. I don't know your process to select your logo, but I can say, well, part of your logo and your personality, right, is like elegant. It is giving me is professional, right? Is organized. So since doesn't happen just like a casualty, right? Or like, oh, this is just a lucky something that I get just from one conversation.
It takes that planning on discovering the brand, discovering what you want to portray in that brand, and how it's received by your audience. So it has to become something that is something tangible. And I like the way you say that you look into the future. You envision that brand not only at the moment that you are developed that brand, but also where you want to see it in the future, like 10 years from now. So that's very impactful there.
Definitely. I say the word is intentionality. You need to be intentional, right? So then you build your brand personality. We call it the brand character. And then what is that? The brand essence you have. And then once you have your logo approved and you have that core elements, right? Personality of my brands. These then are finally the colors, the guidance. This is how I want my brand to look. That you need to put in that brand book, because that become your first and only source of authority when you're talking about like moving forward and having a global brand. Because after we build a brand and you launch globally, then you kind of change role to some extent to be the person that how can I say that, steward. Anyhow, I was trying to say that then you change role and you become the steward of your brand, and then it becomes like a conversation, and continue monitoring that when others are in an affiliate, in the office, when they are in the market, people are executing the brand as we envision, as you envision originally, because that's critical for the success of the brand. A brand that everybody is used to is Coca-Cola, right? And I can remember when I went to Africa, that is one of the farthest places I have traveled, and just driving after we got from the airport and see this Coca-Cola in the Kilimanjaro area sign, same brand essence, personality, but then the localization. Okay, the people there, the models were people that resemble to the people in the area. And
so the brand resonates, but it also integrates the market where you're in.
Totally. So I think Coca-Cola is a great example. I know that everybody talks about Coca-Cola, but it's a great example of keeping that brand essence, brand character, that personality. So brand development. Sorry, you were about to ask me something.
No, just continue.
Okay, so and then in as the time you are developing your brand, also there is a brand strategy that we were talking. And I just mentioned, well, one component, which is who is your target customer. But then you need to go to market research and work with your team and define what is the positioning, right? What is that space in the mind of my customers that my brand is occupying, is there? Like, what is that space that I want my brand to be in the mind and the heart of my customers? So the positioning, which is very important in the brand building or the brand strategy building, because for me, brand development is that logo component, the visuals, how we look and feel.
So now you're talking about the context of that brand positioning and how you can ensure that it's consistent with that image that you initially created, right?
Yeah, well, I see the way that I see it. This is visually how we'll look, how we'll express, right? And how we'll behave. But then is the brand strategy, like the pillars that are important to you, because this will set up the business framework and the direction toward where you are going. And the positioning is an important process, because the positioning is like where we are today and what do we want to achieve, again, in the heart and life of my customer. But also it has a component of aspiration. So meaning, like, if you're launching Joanna Gomez business, like, what do you want to achieve in the next 24 months? But then long term, how do you see your brand going in 4 years, 6 years, 10 years? So you can work in the position today, but then also you can say, I aspire to be positioned X or Y way in 5 years. So that positioning will become a very foundational work about your brand that could maybe evolve in the sense that since the beginning you established, you will be growing, but it shouldn't change too much.
Have you experienced, and now that you mentioned that it should remain almost the same, have you experienced in your career at some point something that you may have strategized in one way and you may have to shift it a little bit because the market was behaving in a different way that you were expecting or you projected in your plan?
Well, again, this is another great question, because the reason why we are in business and marketing will be needed is like you are overseeing this brand, right? Like, and the marketplace is a dynamic marketplace. And I'll say the short answer to your question is yes, I've seen changes, and I can recognize a topic, and it's a differentiation. That part is so important to have from the beginning, because when you have your product, it's your baby, right? Like you are like putting all your efforts, you learn a lot, and over time you just keep like kind of seeing what you want, the solutions you have learned. And I always encourage people pause and say, okay, this is all good. But if I remove the name of my brand and I put the name of one of my competitors, can they use exactly the same work that we are putting together? And if the answer is actually yes, so that is a key flag for you to say, okay, how can we make it different?
So you're trying not only to make it different, but unique, so it resonates at the top of the mind of the consumer.
Yes. And the other thing in my learning, and since this is one area that we needed sometimes to get back and say, okay, really, what is the difference, and fine tune the work. The other area is sometimes we want to go to market and solve all the worlds. I mean, all the problems of the world. That is what I intended to say. But it's impossible, right? Like, you need to keep very focused to win. You need to, for me, once you define your positioning, right, and after that you define what is your value proposition. I just want to share a little bit of the flow because I know we are running out of time, but then you move forward and then you say what is the core message elements, right? You see like how it's connected, but it's not the same brand development. This is foundational. This is like the content. This is like the image. If we make an analogy with us as a human beings, that brand development is how we look, right? And how we behave and how we interact. But then that brand development will be who we are, like all the content or our essence, our values, right? Like that allow us to connect and be who we are. So similar to the brand, right? Then you need to understand what are my core messages. And when I'm talking about core messages, you need to go again to market research and you need to define that, because depending on the industry and in the different expressions your brand has, once you define those core message elements, everybody needs to talk about those core message elements. And it becomes, again, when we are thinking, okay, I just want to write a book about consumer services. Let's say Joanna Gomez wants to write that book. Perfect. What is that book doing? It's part of your business strategy. That way you can put your brand in the market and more people can come to you. So make sure then in that book and the data that you are providing is very aligned to the services you can provide, right? Like, because you can write whatever book you want, but then all of a sudden, if you provide services of marketing to consumers and you're saying, I'm just publishing this book about the beauty, about how to put makeup or dress well or present yourself, I think there is a little bit of disconnection there, right? And then people won't necessarily connect with you because of the service you provide. And it's very similar to the brand. So once you define what are the messages I want to put out in the world, you need to be consistent. And I know that it sounds very simple,
but it's not.
In the real world, that is something that you need to bring people along.
Especially being consistent. I love that you mentioned that word, because most of the time when we think about marketing things, we think that the market is evolving. We think that the content or needs to evolve, but not to the point that we stop being consistent with the brand. So keeping that consistency over the years, like you were mentioning Coca-Cola, I guess it happens in your industry as well. You want to keep that consistency over the year to achieve what you envision for the future when you were developing that brand, correct?
Yes.
So based on that and your years of experience as a senior director in global marketing, I'm curious to know how you approach marketing diverse international markets. Like, what are the challenges or opportunities that this presents when you're creating or you are doing these brand strategies to penetrate those markets and to work with people, of course, that are from different regions and ensure to unify that strategy in respect to cultural variations that can be there?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, that is one of my favorite areas. I'll say I want to keep it very simple. You need to prioritize, right? When you are assessing where you are launching as a brand, you need to define first your criteria. Define your criteria, where you're with your forecasters and the finance team, and what is the, like, numerically, right? Like business-wise, what do we want to achieve? And then you will need to prioritize which are your markets. Usually you want to work with 80%, it's usually 5-6 markets that will account for 80% of your goals. So you want to work with 4 or 5 of those markets. And when I say you want to work, you need to then connect with your global offices and ask the leaders of the offices, like, hey, who is in charge of launching this brand in your country? And that person become part of your extended team.
So
Right?
that's
Because
how you integrate that person over the team that you're managing in your area.
yeah, well, like we connect with those very, like, we call it the first market we launch, right? Like, and they become an extended part of the team. Of course, they have their role. Usually when, as I mentioned to you at the beginning, when you are in an affiliate, you are not in charge of only one product. Sometimes you need 3, 4, but then the global team will work on building that strategy, but will bring them along, and they will participate in market research, and they are going to be able to provide some feedback. Because at the end of the day, if you are launching a global brand, and as I mentioned also, like if you are overseeing that everybody needs to keep their personality, the essence, the character, so you need to incorporate that feedback to make sure when you roll that out, it makes sense globally. And an additional benefit of working hand by hand with your global offices and the people that are working there, so they will feel part of the work. So at the end of the day, when you deliver the campaign that they need to roll out and execute, they know that their name and their inputs and their work is there. So they become your evangelists in the office for that execution. So you are basically multiplying yourself. And of course, when you have from the core message element, that was the part, then you want to make some claims that you want to use. And of course, you're working all the time, depending in the industry, with your subject matter expert. In my industry, I work with medical and legal. The majority of the brand will need to work with legal. And then you develop those claims. And at the end of the day, you put everything together. After that, you move to a research to talk about the creative concept of the campaign you want to roll out, and then you select the creative concept, put together the key claims, put the logo together, and then
launch it.
One of the most special moments
is when you see that coming to real life.
Coming together.
All that work. And now I have that question for you. How not only it feels to put it out there, because you have all these many meetings and all this preparation prior to, how long it will take for you for a company and organization to just put all that plan together, month, a year, in time that you have to invest on doing all the parts in the plan, and then having that just launch and you see your baby coming to like a real, like when you have let's talk about humans, when we're just having a baby and and it comes out and it's in here in your hands. How does it feel, that moment when you just say, okay, now it's ready to just penetrate this market or be available in the market?
Yeah, well, going to the first part of your question, like usually teams should be forming between 40 to 36 months before you launch a brand.
Wow.
Yeah, at least like that first person who will be like overseeing the brand leader, is how we call it. Like you hire that person, and then you hire senior directors, associate directors, and managers, and everything. So, and over time, while we are getting closer, you continue adding more people, right? But yes.
Yeah, because you have to build that team that is going to be the support for that specific brand. And if you're in a different market, you have to bring other people on board too.
Yeah, it's between 36 to 40 months. It's a lot of work. But it's fantastic. I just really love it. It is the space for me. I am a learner. I really love to connect with people and having the opportunity. In my case, my products always are related to science. So I need to learn all the science, all the diseases state, right? And get to learn the customers. It for me is just binding and connecting to areas that I really love, and I feel marketing is super challenging, and brain-wise, right? Like it's something that you need to continue reading, learning, you need to take decisions, you need to connect data. Something, I don't know if this happened to you, but when you say I work in marketing, so the late people will say, oh, you put promotions together. And I kind of like, if they would know, right? Like,
all that goes behind the promotion, people more than likely with what they see, they think it's just take a moment just to build a promotion and put it out there. But all the planning and everything is strategized that comes behind the scene. They're not able to see that. They just only see the final product or the final promotion. But yeah, every time you say marketing, most of the people think, oh, you just do promotions and commercials, or you put something in an email that I get for a product. But it's more than that, because you're also delivering a customer experience, and you're also integrating all the components of your audience and the needs that they need, that needs to be fulfilled by a product, even if it's in pharma, or even if it's in the regular life, or the products that we buy for every day. So that is a good lesson there that you mentioned, because more than likely sometimes you say, oh, no, I'm doing marketing, and people think, okay, no, that's like, oh, you're doing promotions. And I said, no, it just entails more than that. And
the promotion part is the last part, honestly.
Yeah, it's the last part, exactly.
It's not even the campaign. When people get a flyer, or they see a billboard, or they watch a commercial, that's a tactic. That is only a tactic from this big strategy.
From the outside, but when then you look into the background on how long it takes for you to create all those strategies to put only that billboard out there and resonate in the customer minds, because that's what we want, then you realize, wow, this is amazing how you come from maybe an idea, of course, to just create that development strategies and just, deliver that final product. So thank you for sharing that. That was amazing. Can you share some lessons and experience from working in international marketing projects, like something that happened to you, like typically probably don't happen within your team, but maybe experiencing with international marketing projects, you have experience with other members of the team, or challenges? It could be an experience, it could be a lesson, it could be something that you love about it.
Yes, sure thing. I'll share a little bit about the photo shoot. Like after you have your creative and you want to make it real, and that is when you go to the photo shoot. And the first time that I was building a campaign, I was leading the process. So I was working with my international colleagues, and first time, the communication, right? Like when you communicate with a Latino person, so we're very easy, flexible. You communicate with German people. They are very sharp. They will say things straightforward. So like just the day to day, it was kind of an adjustment, honestly. It was like, oh, what this email is saying. But then over the process of continue building that core team and that extension that I mentioned to you, like the people that work in the office, they become part of your team, and you don't see them every day, but you continue learning about the market. And that was a moment when we were working in this campaign. We have some pictures in our mind that we want to incorporate, and a set of the pictures requires smiles, because it was two people interacting in some way and they needed to smile. Then when we started to communicate and just started to learn, in the Nordic countries, which is Scandinavia, so our regulators doesn't allow us to have people smiling for that type of picture. And we were like, but not smiling and smiling? No, they need to be neutral. And then another country said, well, for this picture, they can smile, but they cannot show the complete big smile open. They can smile like that. And for me, that was pretty first surprising, but at the same time, pretty cool, right? And then not only having the conversation, but inviting them to the photo shoot, because then we hire a photographer, right? And you need to have your subject matter experts with you. Like when they were shooting the same picture we had and we wanted to execute and accomplish, then the photographer needed to do it in different ways. Like less smile, and then just coaching the models like, please here, just less, more neutral. So that's one of the things. It was not an issue, it's just different. And it's not the same. Like, if, okay, they gave me feedback, this is the type of smile that they need. If I would have done that alone and trying to coach him based in what they said, I'm pretty sure the outcome wouldn't have been the same. While having them, right, when we shoot the part like was US, we are done, so come this country, Germany for example, and then the marketer, they're just coaching the photographer, okay, no, that's too much, that's too little, you can go X or Y.
Wow. Right. That's an amazing story, because you think it's just a smile, right? But what impact it has in different countries, how they perceive it, is just different from market to market. So wow, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Transitioning and switching a little bit to emotional branding. And what techniques do you believe can be employed marketers today to connect with customer on an emotional level, like to build that brand loyalty? What you want to build over time is just that brand loyalty, that your customer stay with you. But how do you build that brand emotional brand loyalty that you want to connect with your clients?
I think you mentioned these two words that are the answer through this interview, and I think it's as easy as a customer experience.
So right? The customer experience, yeah.
Because we are talking about building, right? We build the brand, we develop the brand, we build the brand strategy, we talk about putting everything together, and then launching, executing. But at the end of the day, people will continue interacting with your brand.
Okay.
And in that execution, what does that mean? So let's go back to the first example of the wallet. So if you build this beautifully, and then you learn about me and you build this strategy, and you are reaching me with this wallet, and then I'm just so ready to buy it. But then when I go to your website, like you're running out of stock, right? Like you don't have
it. You cannot find what you were looking for.
So that
the website is broken and it doesn't work, exactly. or it's not user friendly for me to navigate on it.
Yes, so that can kill the experience from the get-go. It could be, yeah, I ordered my wallet, but when I receive it, it was broken or it have a stain. And then when I communicate back to you, if you said, well, actually, no, you don't communicate on time, or we don't change anything because it have a little stain. So then how can I be loyal to you? But in the opposite side, if I interact with you and I have a wonderful experience, right? You are doing your brand is doing the job functionally, emotionally, and socially, and it's available, and you can respond to my needs consistently over time. So it becomes more than the wallet, right? It becomes like, this is easy. I don't have any problem if I need to upgrade this, and it transform in a long-term customer experience. And when you think about a brand that for the majority of people can provide that loyalty, is Disney, right? Like, it's incredible. Like, since the first moment I have interacted with Disney when I was little till today when I am a mom, and now a mom of teenagers, like, Disney is Disney, right? It's easy, it's clean. And that's the part that, in my opinion, will drive that loyalty and make you a strong brand in the market.
And I think those are the two key words that you mentioned too, the maintaining that consistency along with that customer experience, I think will be the combination or the combo that we say that will create that brand loyalty and that customer to become like that brand will become on top of the mind of the consumer. So that is great. How do you think, because we now have the artificial intelligence, and I know everybody's talking about that, how do you feel the role of artificial intelligence is positively or negatively can affect, the future of how we present our brands, or the marketing in the future that we do for our products, or to interact with the clients? Because nowadays, you sometimes need a service and you're talking to a chatbot, that is helping you in the process. It's not like a real person, but you have a little button in the bottom that says, oh, you want to speak to our chatbot today, and we speak to someone that is not a person. It's just really an artificial intelligence that is answering basic questions. Of course, you will need the customer service at the end if that doesn't resolve. How do you think that the role of artificial intelligence in branding might be affected in the future of marketing?
It will affect. Well, it's affecting, it will continue doing it.
Okay.
And I cannot think in another word that is very positive, in a very positive way. I know like technology for some could be a little bit scary. Sometimes it feels it's moving faster that we can keep with all the changes at the pace. But it is amazing. And I know you're mentioning one example of the chatbots. Maybe that's not the best one.
Well, that's not the best one, but just to mention one of those that are simple to everybody, or being related to somebody.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying not the best one in terms like the example you gave is not the best one, because from all the services that the artificial intelligence can give to us, maybe the chatbot is for me, the experience is like, it feels sometimes impersonal. But when you ask about artificial intelligence, so two things came to mind. Last week I was working in our agency, and we were running a workshop, and we were just interacting with artificial intelligence in terms of like, okay, let's explore. Let's make artificial intelligence to be one participant here and provide feedback. So that's one way that you can use it. The other way, I don't know if you know, like ChatGPT now have Lilly. And if you have the pay subscription, or the organization have like the entrepreneurial offering they give, so you have access to the link. And one example, if you're putting together a storyboard, sometimes we have the storyboard in our mind, and now you can go to ChatGPT and say, could you please help me to create an image with all the details you want? And ChatGPT will do it. You can say, hey, ChatGPT, help me to create like a couple having a picnic in front of a castle that looks like the Disney castle. And you can even say, make this couple being Latino, put flowers on their side, make the basket blue or look like a wood or wooden basket. And as specific you are, ChatGPT will create that. And at the end of the day, maybe the outcome looks different, but allows you to see visually like what you have in your mind, and then you can keep working on it, and you can check information, the other perspective that artificial intelligence, you can access to market research data. And if you want to look for information, of course you will end up doing market research, but you can do like a pre-research and put the data together, and it will help you to be better prepared. I don't think that human beings will disappear or will have less. I think that will
there is a preconception that people have that the humans are going to be replaced for the machines.
Yeah, we won't. It's impossible, right? Because we put the prompts behind that, but it will be a beautiful collaboration that will take us to another level, and even giving us back a little bit of time. Could be time, could be more capacity to achieve more. So I think it will be a great team effort. As always, it will take time because not everybody will move and but it's very interesting. I feel like with ChatGPT and all everything around that artificial intelligence today, I think we are as a society more open to welcome those type of tools.
That's amazing. Yeah. Some people have the preconception that, oh, now robots or artificial intelligence is going to take the part of the humans, but it's just a component and a collaboration of what we can achieve more since we have the information so into the palm of our hands. We travel with information in our hands because we carried our phones and everything can be accessible there. Shifting a little bit again and transitioning, let me ask you about diversity and inclusivity. That's another topic that I like to just explore a little bit more in marketing, how you incorporate these values of inclusivity and diversity into the marketing content and why it's considered important for any brand. Like when you're developing a prototype, do you take into consideration, of course, we're taking into consideration who is our target market, but or our target audience, but at the same time, how inclusivity and diversity come into those conversations when you're starting to do that initial and doing the process of the brand?
Yeah, I think that, again, from the marketing per se perspective, you need to study, to your point, your target audience, your target market. And if you know, like for the population you're serving, that is something that they are seeing in one of ethnicity over the other. So you need to work with that, right? Because you need to communicate in the way that that audience will understand you. But for the diversity, inclusion, well, diversity, equity, and inclusion is how we call it. For the day-to-day and to do great work, right? Like, is it better to have in the room a diverse set of professionals, right? Because everybody have different experiences, different background, interpret life in different ways. And then when you sit down and you evaluate and you are listening to customer, you're getting insights, you have different brains just translating that with that amazing background. So then when you're developing a brand, when you're developing a brand strategy, having that diverse thoughts will actually to make things stronger. Because you can see basically you're reducing the potential of having a blind spot because you have diversity of sight, you have diversity of thoughts, and you have diversity of expressing that feedback.
Different ideas as well. That's amazing. I think that will contribute to a brand overall success because you have different, as you say, you have different brains thinking and providing ideas on with different backgrounds and different cultures and different regions. So that will help in the development of everything when you're creating a brand. Well, Yaremi, I have a last question for you.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Sure.
How do you see the market, the marketing industry? How you see marketers evolving in this diverse and evolving landscape that we're experiencing now? How do you see marketing will go in any company or organization? How do you see the future of marketing? Because remember when we went, and I relate to you because I went to college, a while ago. We went to the same university. And, marketing was a little bit different, even though we still have the same concepts that we used 20 plus years ago, we use them today. So how do you see that what is coming along in the landscape right now incorporates to what we learned probably 20 years ago and has evolved as of today? How do you see that coming in the future?
Yeah, I'll tackle that question in a different way. What will keep the same and what has been the same since we went to school? So, like, again, the essence, you need to develop a logo, you need to understand what is a personality, character, that brand essence, building that brand book with the colors, typography, everything. So that won't change.
That won't change. That will remain.
The brand strategy, like going through the process, who is the customer I'm serving? How is the dynamic in the marketplace? What is the space that I want to feel right in the heart and mind of my customer with the positioning, creative concepts that will remain the same.
Right.
What will continue evolving, and that's the way that we have seen since evolving and happening, is the channels, right? The omni-channel,
Yeah.
like the way before maybe we were focused on one channel. I think that has been one of the biggest changes with all the social media and social platforms. But now, like you cannot communicate only one channel. You need to communicate in as many channels are relevant for your audience, and you cannot communicate in the same way.
Correct.
So
Because you have to be consistent.
You need to keep the core message.
The core message along.
Your concept, but you need to, right? It's not the same that you're putting in a banner, that you're doing
that you're gonna put in the social media,
or you're putting in a billboard, but it needs to feel the same and it's to deliver the same message. So that is what is going to continue evolving, like the channels, like how then the pace, how fast we are, and in how easy we can update and evolve things. That, I think the technology will continue helping us to get faster and better, and as we just share with artificial intelligence, so we'll have more capacity to do things more easily. That's my personal opinion. That is how I see it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Well, before we end our conversation today, I would like to congratulate you on your executive master in business administration and your recognition as the best and brightest executive MBA on 2023 by Poets and Quants by the Northwestern University Kellogg School of Management. I saw that in your profile. So congratulations for that. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. It has been a pleasure, an honor, and a blessing to have you here on the Learning Pod with Joanna Gomez. So thank you for sharing your vision, your perspective, your knowledge, and experience with our audience today. And if you're watching, well, share this video with others. And until the next episode, we'll see you again.
Okay, thank you, Joanna, for having me.
Thank you, Yaremi. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.